Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King 2, and today I'm going to be giving you part 3 of What If Naruto had a new trading ship partner that will change everything. Remember to get this one to 100 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, stay in tune for the rest of what is coming your way over on Anime King and Anime King 3. Both channels will be down below in the description, so go ahead and check them out and stay tuned and enjoy. And yeah, remember if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King 2, and Anime King 3, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support, and yeah, without further ado, what is to begin this new episode? Start the intro. So, the last time we left off, as Naruto and Tayuya made their way around the village, as it wasn't time for them to leave yet. As they went by the Higurashi shop, that was when Tayuya learned about Naruto life. Growing up, being older, he used to take care of some of the other orphans. As Naruto had found a home for Tenten, he was the one that went to spoke to the man, but he could only take one of them, and Naruto decided to stay on the streets and hand Tenten over. This is why the blacksmith owed Naruto a great debt that he can never repay. After all, Naruto was the one that gave him his loving daughter, which he cherished so much. And when Naruto asked him for, the weapon that he wanted, the man was going to give it to him free of cost. If he wanted 50 swords, he was going to make them for him. After that, all of them, including Tayuya, all of Naruto year graduates that made to the Chunin exams, went to have a final dinner before Naruto left. As Tayuya heard many stories about Naruto and the idiotic things that he did, even though he was 2 years older than everyone else. He seemed to be quite stupid most times. As she still couldn't believe that this was real. Everyone just seemed so nice, everything was just so wonderful here. The time finally came as Naruto had to say goodbye to everyone. As with that, Jiraiya took them. Naruto knew that Jiraiya knew about his father, as he wasn't going to say anything to the man. At the moment, he didn't trust him one bit. After all, he was just going to wait and see how long he will keep the secret away from him. As Tayuya knew that he was angry, but he was keeping himself calm. Jiraiya brought them to Uzudo, as he told Naruto that this is where his lineage was, but he couldn't tell him anything else. Getting there though, something went off. It was a memory seal, as they saw Uzudo being attacked and the leader was facing off against many ninjas from Kiari the Stone and Kumo. But it was then that Danzo came there. The man thought that Danzo was going to help him, but when the man turned his back, his head was severed by a winged sword. As Naruto planned to kill Danzo, as despite knowing that these people died a long time ago, it was still his ancestors, his family, and Danzo had killed him. The seal was still activated, as there was a dead body there. They didn't know how exactly it worked, but the fluctuation of chakra passed through her body and went into the strange orb, and the seal caused storm and a lot of whirlpools so the island would be protected, as many people have just left it alone. Months passed as they have been continuing their training on the island, as Jiraiya has been teaching them Fuin Jutsu and a lot of other techniques. As Naruto went by the dead body and he just vented out things that he, won't talk about. Tayuya found it rather strange. Even though the person was dead, he was talking to them, as Naruto even gave her name. That was when he tried to touch the ball, and he was sucked away into a maze. In there he met two twins, a boy and a girl. And both of them said that they knew Hoshirama and Madara. That was strange. He then met a woman, who he found out was his grandmother. That surprised him. So the woman outside was really dead. She was just trapped in here, but her physical body was still outside. As they were able to find a way out with the use of Naruto's clone, and the two kids, they brought them out as well. as Jiraiya and Tayuya said that Naruto has been in there for 2 days. The kids then performed a strange seal, showing that they were powerful, as it was a mixture of lightning, water, and fire. Jiraiya was confused when he said the kids knew Hoshirama and Madara. That should be impossible. Well, they will have to find out what the hell is going on. So yeah guys, was basically as we left off. You guys can switch across to the place and check out for yourself. So what do you say begin this new episode? Wait. Senju Hoshirama? Madara Uchiha? Jiraiya said, looking at 2 kids. Yeah, that is what they told me when I found them. They never heard of Konoha or the Hokage, said Naruto. Wait, are you saying that they were stuck in there for almost a century? Konoha was formed when Hoshirama and Madara finally put things aside and joined forces. That was more than 8 years ago. And that was almost 30 years ago when it happened. Wait, 30? No, you must be talking about a different Senju Hoshirama and Madara Uchiha, our cousins. They're just 2 years older than us, so they should be 10 years old. Kuga, the twin boy, said. Oh boy, said Naruto, as he realized what happened now. Let me handle this. I'm good with kids. He took the both of them and wandered off. So, Jiraiya, you're all grown up now, said Oboro, as she looked at him. You've gotten tall. Wait, you know me? Said Jiraiya. You are Hiruzen's student, one of 3. You, the first Hokage granddaughter, and the one they call White Snake. Well, Snell is the Hokage now, and Orochimaru is too dangerous to be allowed inside Konoha walls. My condolence then, she said. When we stood tall, we were proud to not have a single mutiny from our ranks. But the loss or betrayal of a comrade is something that cannot be taken easily. A pain that we all have to bear, said Jiraiya. The life of a ninja is a life of loss, pain, and death. I'm trying to make sure I don't have any regrets once I'm gone. Your grandson is one of them. I'm his godfather. Then, he's in good hands, I hope. This is all just surprising and new to me. It's kind of strange, she said. As she looked on her hands, she didn't know really how to, handle the situation. It was strange. Well, how about you catch me up, she said. Yeah, let's get you up to speed, said Jiraiya. Meanwhile, do you know how long you were in that maze? Naruto asked. Well, it didn't feel like much. Maybe a few hours, Kuga said, as he hoped he was right. No, not even close. It's been almost 100 years, said Naruto. What? No way. You're joking, aren't you? Any day now the clan wars are going to end, and we can settle down peacefully for good. At least that is what Madara and Hoshirama always say. I hate to break it to you, but there's no getting around it. Hoshirama and Madara both died about 65 years ago. Liar! Nobody could kill them, said Rei as she got to her feet as she glared at Naruto angrily. They killed each other. The words seemed to hit the kids like a bomb as a shocked, twisted, horrified look came on the twins' faces. There is a valley between Hainakuni and Onnakuni that is dedicated as a battleground to where they fought each other to the death. We call the valley at the end. That is where they fought their final battle. Well, what about Tobirama? Aizuna, what happened to them? Senju Tobirama was the second Hokage after his brother's death. I've never heard of Aizuna Uchiha, said Naruto. He probably died in the clan war period. Are you serious? This has to be a joke, right? Both of them were hoping that Naruto was just messing with them. This was some sick, twisted joke. I like jokes. I like jokes a lot, but this isn't one of them. I am from Konoha. The war clan period ended 8 years ago, and it was replaced by a hidden village system where a group of ninjas from different clans allied in the same lands. Think about it. When you guys touched that stone, was this village here? I can't remember. Dad said he was going to start building a village here when the wars were over though, Kuga said, trying to remember clearly. Wait, so did Dad do it? Is this the Uzumaki village? That's what it was, said Naruto. Before I was born, it got destroyed. My mother was born in Konoha after it was wiped out. And that woman you see over there, Oboro, is my grandmother, who was stuck in that stone with you too. The 4 of us are the only Uzumakis left. What? Both of the twins cried out at the same time. I'm sorry, but it's true, said Naruto. But hey, if you hadn't got stuck in there, you'd have never met me. Instead of worrying about what you lost, think about what is still out here. Your kids. You should have fun, not worrying about fighting to survive every day. But we need to get more powerful. Then train with me, said Naruto. 3 Uzumakis are always stronger than 1. The 2 children nodded, their inner turmoil crushed by Naruto charisma. That was just the effect Naruto had on people, especially children. They would likely have doubts and pain from everything they have missed, and he wouldn't be able to protect them from that ever, but at least he can give them a chance to live a life they have been given. Just because they were born in the past doesn't mean they have to stick to the past. Time skip. You managed to clear away a good piece of the rubble, Oboro said as she was walking her own. The village is empty and in disrepair, but at least it is not broken anymore. Thank you. It's nothing, said Naruto. I figured it was the least I can do, out of respect. Anyone else would have done the same. No, they wouldn't have, she said. She remained grateful, if stern. They would have looted it, like the scrolls you took from the office, she said as she looked at him. But since you're my grandson, I guess I can overlook it. Without warning, Naruto enveloped the older woman in a hug. She froze for a moment as he hugged her. I never had a family, he said. I lived in the street for 15 years. All I have was that last name that I didn't really know the meaning of. But now, you're here, said Naruto. A soft smile came on her lips. She then kneeled down as she wrapped the boy up in a hug. Poor boy. It's okay now, she said. You have us now. And I promise you, we aren't going to leave you. I promise, she said. The wind blows something over. It was a skeleton. Despite his body being bones, he was still gripping onto his blade. As she instantly recognized the blade, as she looked at the skeleton, as Naruto saw the memory as well. The head was gone. As he saw it over to the side, it was bones. As Dunzo had cut off the man's head. Can you please give me some time to myself, she asked. Naruto nodded as he backed away. He disappeared in a smooth sunshine, as he knew that it must be difficult to come to terms that your entire family had been wiped out. He didn't know them, but she did. And that man was her husband. At least he could do was give her some time. Time skip. As Naruto was pushed into the wall. As he looked at Tayuya nervously, he remembered when she kissed him on the cheek and told him that they would talk later. Look, I'm sorry. Don't apologize to me, she said. You stupid bastard! We thought that you died. You don't get to apologize. I know, she said. Stop it. As Naruto noticed that she was trembling, as he saw tears start to build up at the corner of her eyes. After all, he was lying in that immobilized state, just like what Oboro was doing. So they thought that he was dead. Naruto reached forth and grabbed her into a tight hug as he held onto her arm so she could move. Let me go, she said. I'm not gonna let you, said Naruto. I'm not gonna let you cry for me. Not until I'm really dead. And you've seen my scars. I can't die, he said. That logic is bullshit. You know that. I don't care, said Naruto. Well, I do, she said. You may not think it, but I actually like you. I think I'm okay with calling you my friend. And you're the first one I had ever since I was taken in by Orochimaru. So I'm gonna be goddamn worried when you do some stupid, over-the-top crap and look like you're dead. I'm sorry, said Naruto. I'm so sorry. As he sank to the floor, carrying her with him, as she stopped trying to break free, as a few tears slipped from her eyes. Even if he wasn't dead, she and Jiraiya had taught it, and something deep within her just broke. She couldn't believe it. After all, no one has ever been so nice to her before. Being so sweet, being there for her. He was more nice than anyone in her entire life. And then she saw him there, not moving. He had no pulse at all. He was just there. They thought that he had died. And that really stirred something deep within her. But no, she was just happy. She didn't break down because everyone else was there, but she wanted to do this for a long time. She finally managed to get free, as she looked at him. She slapped him on the cheek, but not too hard. I'm still mad at you, she said, tear tracks still going down her cheeks. After all, they had told him to not touch the orb, and he still did. She was still mad. You have a right to, said Naruto. But you deserve to know that I'm really sorry about what happened. I got curious, said Naruto. It hurt like hell when I touched it. It was like my arm was getting washed off by acid, and that maze was huge. About half the size of Konoha. I was just being really stupid, I know. I never made a whole lot of smart decisions. I just kind of made do with how I can play to my strengths. That ball. Since the two twins were stuck in there before the clan war ended, It's an endless nightmare unless you spend time studying maps. And even then if you ask the right question, you're fine. Well, it sounded like you didn't really have a problem, Piss Brain, she said. A small smile came on his lips. At least she was calling him that once again, to show that she wasn't so pissed anymore. It got better once I found those turning there. Having company always made traveling better. Even me, she said. Naruto couldn't tell if she was fishing for a compliment, or if she was worried about how he saw her. But he smiled, especially yours. It's never a bad thing to have a friend along with you. As his smile was so infectious, it made her smile a bit. Okay, fine, you win, she said. I forgive you. God damn it, as she got to her feet, making Naruto smile. But don't ever, she said, do something as stupid as that without thinking. He simply nodded. Naruto training resumed the next day, as his clones were broken up into 3 groups, Fuinjutsu, Taijutsu, and Ninjutsu. While they worked with that, Jiraiya amped up the seal that Naruto had on, and he also had on a slug seal. It will make him feel like he was moving through thick mud or strong water currents. That will use to increase his speed, as he must try to get used to it. It was difficult at first, he could barely walk, as his body felt like it was being pushed and pulled down, despite it only being the first level of the seal. But Naruto was always a hard worker, as he managed to get used to it in the first day. Not completely though, but Jiraiya told him once he was fully used to it, he will up it to the next level. But they haven't started the elemental techniques yet. Jiraiya told them that they will start in the future though. They still had time. It looked like that day was today, a week after his return from the labyrinth. He and Tayuya stood with the 2 twins, with Jiraiya and Abreu standing in front of them. Alright, moment of truth, said Jiraiya. Looking Naruto, your efforts for clearing away debris from the village. What that does is tell me your chakra affinity. For example, my primary affinity is fire. I have a secondary affinity for earth techniques. That means it takes less chakra for me to perform jutsus with those 2 elements. Some people have an immensely strong affinity for one element and no secondary affinity, but that's less common than having one strong and one weak. Every so often you come across some people that have 3 or more, but that is used to being Keiki Genkai, or because they were Jinchuriki. In all the recorded history though, there have only been 2 people with all 5 elements. Who? The Sage of Sixth Path, if you believe in the legends, and my sensei as well. The older shinobi get, the deadlier they are, and not many ninjas live to their 80s, said Abreu. When the clan war was at their heights, everyone was fair game, because you never know who can grow up to kill you. Whenever wars start, ninja of all ages are sent off to the battlefield, and the young ones are always the first to die. Deprive a village of its elder, the strongest shinobis, you cripple it. Slaughter their children, the next generation, they're finished. The third Hokage only problem was, he was too old to keep up physically with Orochimaru. His chakra reserves are almost as large as the Uzumaki, and he still maintained all his wits. But our old man doesn't have the strength to keep up with someone 30 years younger than them, said Jiraiya. Hey, before you get lost in that train of thought, you said something about chakra paper and elemental affinities, said Naruto. You can get sentimental later. Right. Sorry. Anyway, you charge a bit of your chakra into this little list of paper, as he held one of them up for example, and it will have an example on the paper that will tell you your affinity. If it cut, it is wind. If it burns, it is fire. If it damp, it is water. If it crinkle, it is lightning. And earth will make it crumble into dust. He handed out a piece of paper to each of them. Ray and Kuga paper became damp, but Ray paper crinkled a bit in the center, and Kuga paper started to burn. As it showed, the both of them had water, but Ray also had a lightning affinity, and Kuga had a fire affinity as well. Tayuya paper crumbled, but the dust was wet and blackened. She had a primary earth affinity that was expected from someone born in Hidden Stone, with water and lightning as secondary affinities that made Jiraiya raise the eyebrow. It was probably a product of Orochimaru experiments, or the girl was just that talented, and no one ever bothered to find out. All eyes then turned towards Naruto. The paper exploded as Naruto threw the ashes and shook away his hand. Jeez kid, said Jiraiya. I told you to just use a little bit. Here, try again. Jiraiya strengthened the seal a bit that was limiting Naruto chakra, because even with that seal on, the kid still blew up the paper. As Naruto focused, the paper started to tear itself across the middle. The top half then burned, as the bottom half became wet, and then the side started to crinkle. It seems that Naruto had 4 affinities: a main affinity for wind, a secondary affinity for lightning, and fire and water. My affinities are a main affinity for water and a secondary for wind, Abreu said. But I know a few jutsus from all the 5 basic natures, so I can help each of you a little bit. Now that we know what elements to train you in, it's time that we really get down to work, said Jerry as he grinned towards Tayuya and Naruto. As he was going to like what he was cooking up, but they weren't. Time skip, my area of expertise is within Genjutsu, said Tayuya. We were all good for something. Seikon and Ukon were our assassination specialists. Kidomaru was our long-range fighter. Jobo was our healer and close-quarter combat specialist. She decided to leave out that Kidomaru, with his Kekigenkai, was stronger than all 4 of them combined. Okay, how would you rank your skill D to S from your time under Orochimaru, said Jiraiya? Taijutsu C, Ninjutsu B, Genjutsu S. I could also summon a trio of Doki demons, but I haven't been able to do that after you found me, since they were connected to my demonic flute. It had been 4 months since they had been on the island now. The place was starting to look livable, seeing that Naruto has been putting a lot of effort to his clones. Alright, Jiraiya said, how do you feel about your skills now, including what I've taught you? You move through Fuinjutsu a bit quicker than Naruto, even though he's still ahead of you. Taijutsu B now, she said. Ninjutsu, definitely up to A. Genjutsu, still S. And Fuinjutsu, I'll give myself a D, she said. Just because it's still new to me. Well, that's an honest assessment, not bad either, said Jiraiya. How is this a person's seal I gave you? Working far as I can tell, she said. Good to know. Any pains, any discomfort? No, it's fine. Excellent, he said. Tayuya almost laughed. You sound like a doctor, bird shit sensei. Jiraiya shook his head. I get no respect from you kids, do I? Well, maybe that's because you're just not respectable. Ever think about that? I am one of the Sanins. I fought in 2 wars. What's not respectable about that? He asked. Well, there's the peeping, the smut writing, the listening when I try to have a conversation with piss for brains over there. And point taken, Jiraiya said. Still, as far as ninjas go, it's hard to get to my level. I never said you weren't a respectable ninja. You're just not respectable as a man, she said. Okay then, hit me with your strongest genjutsu. I'll show you what I'm made of. Are you sure? Jiraiya simply nodded. She shrugged as she pulled out her flute and started to play. As he let this sound come to him, to show her that it was rather easy to break out of her illusions after all. He was Jiraiya, the great Toad Sanin after all, as he was caught dead on. Jiraiya sat side by side with Snazzy as she was holding on to her infant son. I can't do this, she said. Snazzy, please. I know it's hard. I know he's gone, but nothing, said Snazzy. This is my decision, not yours. I know, Haim, said Jiraiya. I just want you to think about what, she said. Danny's dead. It took me months to move on after Nawaki died. All I have left are you, Orochimaru and Sensei. I can't do this. I can't take it. The baby started to cry. I'm leaving, Jiraiya. It's better for me to be by myself. That way, you won't end up dead too. I can't die, Haim. You know, don't, she said. Don't call me that, ever again. I'm not your princess. I'm not this village princess. I am no one's princess. I'm a failure as a shinobi. And can't just leave him to that life where he will die as well, because he's connected to me and my curse. You take him. Me? Raise a child? Are you joking? Oh, so Orochimaru should do it, she said. I don't think you should give him up. He deserved a chance to know who his parents were. And Dan didn't deserve to die, said Snazzy. Jiraiya stood up. As the man looked at her, he was completely serious. Fine, give him to me. All of a sudden she couldn't give her son up. Give him to me, said Jiraiya. She slowly raised her hand as she handed the bundle baby to him as he looked away from her. I hope he never finds out who his parents are, because I certainly won't tell him. I hope I never see you again either. Like running away is gonna solve all your problems. When Sensei brands you a new nin, don't come crying to me. As he left, walked down the hallway. Time sped up quickly. It was the boy graduation ceremony, and he waited for his team to be called. Team 7, under Jonin Sensei Jiraiya, Shizune Kaito, Uzumaki Kushina, and Minato Namikaze. As Jiraiya smiled, he was happy, as he saw the boy living and making good of his life. As time sped up, as Jiraiya went through the hand signs for the Shiki fusion, Kushina barely clinging to life watch as her husband gave up her own. Naruto, my sweet boy, I'm sorry, she said. This shouldn't be your burden. Her chains held the Kyuubi down, and the grim hand of death reached out towards the beast. Jiraiya watched as the chakra was stored in the baby. Everything seemed to freeze. As Orochimaru turned his head away, Tsunade turned to Jiraiya as she looked towards him for the silent confirmation the son that she gave up and never knew was going to die. He would leave behind a son, her grandchild, that she would never know as family either. She had been gone for 6 years, but she had returned to the request of Jiraiya to help with the birthing process of her unknowing daughter-in-law. By the time she arrived, everything was far too late. They felt shame. If anyone should have given their life to stop the beast, it should have been them. They, the third, anyone else, any one of them, would have chosen to give their lives so the Hokage and his wife could live, to grow their son. Two people that strong couldn't just be gone. Not like that. Making his way, the man with his last breath spoke. His name is Naruto. He's a hero to this village. The light started to leave Minato's eyes. Naruto, one day, I hope you and I can meet again, in a better world. Before his lifeless body could hit the ground, Jiraiya caught him. No, he shouted! Minato had not been his, but it never mattered to Jiraiya. He saw the boy as a son, and now he just watched him die. Jiraiya blinked as he slowly woke up. He was lying sideways down on the ground. Did I fall asleep? He said. No, the genjutsu passed through you eventually, but I don't need it to hold more than a few seconds to kill someone once it took over them. That was horrific. Living through it once was bad enough. Oh, you saw the pass? What did you see? Said Tayuya. Jiraiya's arm shook a bit. My son. He died in my arms the night of the Kyuubi attack. As an awkward silence passed through them as the wind blew, Jiraiya, more painful feeling, more painful than Orochimaru's betrayal, than anything else, had just been reopened, and he asked for it. He was the one that said he could break the genjutsu easily, but he got caught up. Emotion swimming too much. Tayuya, for her part, didn't really feel too bad for him. It had been more than half a year, and he was still keeping secrets from Naruto. She made the technique a bit more cruel because of that. After all, he still would not tell Naruto the truth despite Naruto knowing, and Naruto wouldn't, well, say anything about it. Jiraiya was very angry. Pissed off at his own stupidity, he made his way to find somewhere to just calm down. To clear his mind at the moment, to cool himself, as he took several deep breaths. Tsunade had been so young, and he never liked Dan. He just had that soft personality that made Tsunade fall in love. She was 15, he was older, and she was smitten like a schoolgirl. Despite that, back then things weren't so bad. But now, three gentle souls, how did they turn out like this? Tsunade was a political wreck. Orochimaru turned into a medical scientist that feared death so much he developed a jutsu to transfer his soul into another person's body, literally taking over their body to use as his own will see fit. And Jiraiya himself, he was filled with so many regrets. So many past regrets. He felt like the entire weight of Konoha was on his shoulders because of his failure. In truth, if one of the remaining Saiyans had to take the position of Hokage, the logical choice would have been Jiraiya. After all, Tsunade had spent her entire life running away from her problems, drinking, trying to run away from the problems that she had, well, been going through, trying to fill those gaps with alcohol and gambling. Even now, he doubted that she was over the deaths of her lover and brother. She was not someone that was able to achieve acceptance when it comes to grief. But he was also lazy and unwilling. He was convinced that Tsunade becoming Hokage would do Konoha a lot of good, uniting Konoha under the strongest kunoichi it has ever produced. In the former era, he was right, but in the latter, he was wrong. She had swayed a lot of power to her cause, most of them young, or civilian. The more older, experienced ninjas in the village had wanted to see Kakashi Hatake be put in as a fifth Hokage when Jiraiya had refused the title. Danzo was also a popular choice because his participation in all the three great wars. But many people were concerned because of his age and also his tendency when it comes to foreign politician talks. But there was no leader that could unify Konoha. No one that everyone would fully accept. They were just gonna have to accept that and move on. Hashirama and Tobirama were loved by all. Hashirama was even accepted by the Uchihas, as he made sure to never leave them out of the village politics. while Tobirama was the complete opposite when it comes to Uchihas. And then Hiruzen, with his skill in diplomacy, he made sure the war ended as quick as possible. This, including with his length of being Hokage. He was Konoha's most memorable Hokage. Minato was a bit of an oddball choice. Most of the shinobis thought that Orochimaru would be the third Hokage successor. Orochimaru wasn't too bothered by that. Well, they understand why several years later. But Minato had been a one-man army in the Third Great Shinobi War with the Harushin technique that combined ninjutsu and fuinjutsu. They were incredibly lethal assaults. He was popular, and to the years prior to his death, he only grew more popular to the eyes of the villagers. But if anyone could do it, Jiraiya believed it was a student that he was teaching now. Time skip. You have a summoning contract? Rei said. Yeah, with the Toad, said Naruto. The boss Toad, the Kamabunta, has fought two Bijus, the Ichibai, and the Kyuubi. Wow, Naruto, you're so cool, Kuga said. You wanna know what else is cool? Said Naruto. Watch this. Oboro glanced over as Naruto placed his finger together. There was many poof that went off. All of them blinked, the three of them were shocked. Naruto. As Kuga looked around in shock, the three of them were in shock as he looked at the clones. Naruto, how many did you make? I have no idea, honestly. Arasenin still hasn't loosened up on this chakra seal, and I'm operating on like maybe 1 to 5%. And that just used up most of my chakras, said Naruto. As they looked around, Uzumaki's had at least 2 times reserve of one normal ninja. But it looked like Naruto had 5. If the seal was still on him and he was still able to produce so much, they all poofed away as he rolled back of his head with a smile on his face. Oh, he was definitely her grandson. Every single member of her family always did something stupid and reckless that would have left any other ninja dead. Tell me, do any of you three know what your chakra weapons are? Chakra weapons? Said Kuga. Yeah, I'm lost, said Naruto. It is something unique to the Uzumaki clan, Oboro said. So I'm not surprised you didn't know, since no one has been able to teach you. Focus your chakra into your hands, and let it shape itself. As Rei and Kuga decided to go first. They did as they were instructed. The chakra was visible around their hands. Let go. A pair of Kitari blades formed in Rei's hands. They were a bit like punching daggers, as you could grip the handle, and they had a sharp sword on the end of it. Just grip them with your fingers like brass knuckles. They were basically like brass knuckles. Only difference is the blade extended forward. Kuga on the other hand had gauntlets formed around his hands with blades on the tip of it. A punch from either hand from him would likely shred anything that wasn't samurai armor. Naruto, your turn. Time to experiment then, said Naruto, as his voice had an edge to it, as he started to channel 2 different chakras. In his right hand, the flame red chakra of the Kyuubi. In his left, the chakra that was his own. In his right hand, the blade that was made for him appeared. In his left hand, a chain shot out as it slammed into the ground. You're Shinjuki then, said Oboro. Looking at his sword in Naruto's hand, it was unsealed to its full size, 4 feet, and the blade curved around. It had no guard. It was most likely used to swing like an axe to take off the enemy, head or limbs. After all, something as big and as powerful as this was only used for that. It was basically a monster sword. No, it wasn't really a sword Oboro thought. It was too big, too thick, too jagged, too curved. It was more like a slab of metal. It was something the G-Clan could have made, but they were all slain in the Second Shinobi War. Even if it was made by a survivor, they would have need a raw concentration of the Kyuubi's chakra. Hey, it works, said Naruto. And yeah, I am. Got the Shinki Fujin on me to prove it too. Hey, said Kuga. What's a Jinchuriki? Time skip. Naruto and Jiraiya wander off the beaten path of Uzu, as Naruto assumed this must be one of the training grounds. I think you're ready for a real spar against me, said Jiraiya. Really? Said Naruto. Yeah, really. I won't be going completely all out on you. And I think you should avoid using the Kyuubi's chakra, but I think it's time I take the kid gloves off. Oh yeah? Get ready for me to grind your ass into the dirt, Arasenin, said Naruto. You're still 30 years too young, brat. I'm gonna enjoy mopping the ground in your face. Bring it on, said Naruto, as both teacher and student shot forward. As Jiraiya was going to test Naruto's skills, to see how far he's come in the past several months. So, how do we start this? As Jiraiya made a few hand signs, as Naruto felt his chakra return into his system, the limiter had been released. Jiraiya also released the slug seals, as his speed and his full strength was there. Go nuts, kid, said Jiraiya. Suddenly, he was surrounded by clones that were advancing towards him. Before Jiraiya could react, some of the clones fade right through him. They were just the standard Academy clones. It was a fake. The Shadow clones then came in and knocked him up in the air. As Naruto control had gotten so good, he could mass produce generic and also Shadow clones. As Naruto went through hand signs and created a cyclone, a wind cyclone, Jiraiya flashed to hand sign and created an earth wall as it blocked the cyclone. When he lowered the wall, Naruto was gone, and so was his clones. As Jiraiya looked around, as Naruto was known for his hiding after all, the boy had outrun Envu teams. Suddenly he felt something as his pants was pulled down. He quickly mimicked a sand technique as chakra strings attached to his pants and pulled them back up. But that was just a distraction as a paint bomb came down, as Jiraiya slapped it away, as it splattered in the trees. You can't treat this like a game, Naruto, he says. He looked around. I'll do whatever I want, said Naruto, as he walked out. You're just a clone. Where's the real one? No, I am the real one. Maybe. At least. I'm real right now, aren't I? Besides, I'm trying to show off all my escape plans. Pranking you is just a fun bonus. Jutsus are cool, but it's how you use them that make them cooler. Jiraiya shot forward as he swing. A wall made from earth rose from the ground. As Naruto didn't have any affinity for earth, but Jiraiya thought that teaching him a few defensive earth technique would be good for the future. And Naruto using clones make everything so much quicker. It was almost like cheating, but Jiraiya promised that he would make Naruto the best that he can be. Jiraiya infused his fist with chakra and break through the wall, only for a mud wall to come up and trap his arm inside, as a clone then slammed into him. As the clone grabbed onto Jiraiya and released a lightning pulse that cracked through Jiraiya's system that made his left arm numb and the wall crumble. Once everything was clear, Naruto was gone again. This wasn't Naruto the ninja. This wasn't Naruto in the Chunin exam. This wasn't Naruto that was in the invasion of Konoha. This was a Naruto that grew up in the slums. The one that was always looking for the better exit when he stole something that he wanted. This was the one that painted the Hokage monument in broad daylight and still managed to get away before he was caught. This was Naruto in his element at the best. Well, I guess it's finally time for me to stop playing around and get started. You had your fun, kid, said Jiraiya, as he flashed through hand signs, as he spewed fire from his mouth. And this was when the real Naruto decided it was time to get serious, waiting in the tree limbs as his clothes were dispelled as a wave of flame reached them. He came out of hiding as he landed on the ground. He then focused on his chakra as chakra chains were sent underground. They broke out to grab Jiraiya, but Jiraiya flipped away. Naruto fired another chain that stabbed him to the ground. As he yanked himself towards Jiraiya, he twisted his foot in mid-air and sent a brutal kick towards the man's skull. But Jiraiya blocked it, only for Naruto to pull himself down the chain as he drive a fist into Jiraiya's stomach. But Jiraiya quickly substituted with a log. Come on, Jiraiya said, stop holding back. I appreciate the thought, but if you actually manage to kill me, that means I've taught you enough. As Naruto pulled a kunai and spin it, before he tossed it, as Jiraiya pulled out a kunai and blocked it as Naruto brought out his giant blade and swinged it. Jiraiya ducked as some of his hair was sliced off. Jiraiya quickly pulled another kunai as Naruto swung once again. The kunai was gouged out. If it was the tip of the kunai, the small knife would have been shattered, but it was the length going up. As Jiraiya had to move away, as Naruto created two clones, one of them vanished as Shanshin, as the real one charged forward. Jiraiya threw some kunais towards him, but the remaining clone blocked them with kunais of its own. As Naruto swung his blade, once again Jiraiya substituted. As he substituted a rock, as Naruto blade clean right through it, as both half fell down. You're still playing around, said Naruto as he placed away his weapon. We should fight for real now. I'm gonna take you down with ninjutsu. Big talk. You got a lot of chakra, but not many jutsu. Oh well. Go ahead and try, Jiraiya said. As Naruto flipped through hand sign before taking in a breath, as he breathed out a massive stream of flame. The ball was at least 3 times tall as Jiraiya. But the moment the flame left his lips, Naruto speed through hand sign once again. A large, focused column of wind slammed into the fireball, making it so much more corrosive. Jiraiya flashed through hand sign as fast as possible. The underground swamp as Naruto flapped through hand sign once again. As he released a lightning technique, Jiraiya launched his other technique. As Jiraiya fired a water bolt that splashed right into Naruto, making his own lightning technique shock him. You had enough, Jiraiya said. Not even close. You know, I've watched the both of them perform it so many times. As Naruto went through hand sign, monkey, dragon, rat, bird, ox, snake, dog, tiger, monkey. As he held out his hand and placed it down and gripped it with his other arm, a sound of chirping birds could be heard as lightning started to cackle off his arm. "Shidori," he said, as his arm teared through the ground as he moved. "Gonna need your help here," Kyuubi Naruto thought, as he felt the corrosive chakra took hold of his left arm as lightning was on his right. "I remember when that technique was invented, Naruto, and I know its weakness," Jiraiya said, a smile gone from his face as he looked around. The clone that Naruto sent away in Sunshine had wrapped a tight wire around the trees around them. That was just another sign of Naruto's stealth skills. He hadn't even seen the clone. "Maybe," said Naruto, "but you haven't seen what I've been practicing on my own with this, or anything else I've done on my own," said Naruto as his left eye became red, as he drew out 8 kunais, all of them at the conjure for teleport on them. Bastardized as it might have been, Jiraiya knew what that technique was capable of. Minato had torn through an entire battlefield by himself with the Harashin, on a separate tree around them. Kunai was buried in it, right in the center. They were in a ring. The clone had used a ninja wire to create a box-like ring around them. "You shouldn't keep secret from me," said Naruto, "otherwise I'll get really mad." As Naruto launched Shidori, but Jiraiya dodged. As Naruto then vanished, the sound of Shidori gave him off, as Jiraiya turned and leaped away, as Naruto crashed in the ground as he was moving with so much momentum, but then he vanished. In truth, Naruto wasn't using the Harashin. After all, it was far too slow. All of them were clones, with a strong transformation over them to turn to a kunai, and every time he vanished, he simply substituted and the clones dispelled. Of course, he was trying to replicate his father's jutsu, but all of his efforts were fruitless this far. Still, the look on Jiraiya's face was nothing but priceless when he thought that Naruto had recreated the jutsu. The lightning started to hurt his arm. He still didn't have full control. Jiraiya noticed that Naruto was far too angry. He was downright pissed. Something was really wrong. As Jiraiya backed up against a wall, as Naruto drive forward with the Shidori, his other arm still cloaking the Bichu chakra. Jiraiya leaped as he watched Naruto do the stupidest thing he'd ever seen before. Knowing that he was going to crash into the wall, Naruto slammed his own arm with the Shidori to make his arm point towards Jiraiya and grab onto him, slamming him into the razor wire that he created. Well, his clone did. "Tell me why," said Naruto. "Why did you do it? Why did you try to keep it a secret from me? What kind of good could come out of that?" Jiraiya laughed, from mix of irony and remembrance, as he felt the wire cut into his back and his leg that the clone had set up. He really hated that I never told him who his parents were. As Jiraiya passed out, as Naruto's arm started to heal, after that he received the Kyuubi's chakra, getting into a chakra pissing fight with a Jinchuriki. No wonder Snavi think that you're stupid. As Naruto made all of his clones that were remaining turn back to normal, coming out of their kunai form. "I know you're there," he says as he turned around. "He's gonna need some help to take care of those cuts." Time skip. "What were you thinking?" said Tayuya. She wasn't angry, she was concerned. "I was pissed. Nothing I was doing was working. And even though he still think I don't know, he's still keeping my dad a secret from me." "Naruto," she said, "he's one of Konoha's most powerful ninja. He just wants to see how far you have come. I think he wasn't really fighting that hard." "Then he shouldn't have worded it the way he did, like his victory was a sure thing," said Naruto. "He gave me no restrictions. Does he know what will happen if I fully lost myself in the Kyuubi's power? What is he gonna do then?" "I don't, and I won't, but I could." Naruto, she says she understood. Fighting against a strong opponent was rather, well, unnerving, especially when they were cocky about it. After all, Jiraiya never expected Naruto to stab his own arm with the Shidori just to get him. That was a complete, something that took him off course and off guard. But she knew that Jiraiya was holding back, as he just wanted to test Naruto's skill, and Naruto got, well, angry. She knew that he was going to lose himself. After all, Jiraiya still refused to tell him who his father was, despite not knowing that Naruto knew. "I know," said Naruto. "It's stupid. That's one of my less enduring traits." He laughed at that. "You know, I think I like it better when I was in the academy, before I became a ninja, when everyone was after my blood. At least, they were honest." He laughed once again. "Naruto, stop it." "Oh god, here we go," said Naruto. "What's next?" He doubled over as a fist planted into his gut, as he fell on his back. Tayuya stepped over him, You really gotta watch what you say, piss for brains. You worked out how you felt with Birchit Sensei. He is the only one that holds things back from you. You really think I give a damn about what I say to you? Why the hell would I even bother to lie to you? Do you ever hold me withholding the truth from you? And the twins think of you like an older brother and a leader. And Aburo-san is your grandmother. And she truly loved not finishing that part. You said Naruto as you watch a cloud pass by. Maybe Shikamaru was right. This was, well, good therapy just to watch the clouds float by. I keep trying to tell you and show you that I care, but you never do anything about it, she said. At that, he closed his eyes and smiled. I know. It's bad of me. It's not like I can't help it, he said. But how do I explain it? It's not like I don't have attachment to you. We've known each other, lived with each other, for more than several months now, right? Yes, she said. So that's not the issue, Naruto. The problem is, I have a really shitty history when it comes to attachment to people. I gave her the chance of having a home so Tintin could have one. I chased after soccer for years, even though I knew she wouldn't like me that way when Sasuke was an option. I can't tell you how much time she beat me in the ground just for talking to her. Well, at least until I got stronger than her. Sasuke, honestly, is probably my best friend. And you've seen the holes he put in my chest. So what, you're scared of what will happen to you if you try to get close to anyone else, she said. Naruto opened his eyes as he looked at her. I'm not gonna stop us, I'm doing what we're doing. I've gotten too used to being around you. Besides, I'm not telling you no. All I am saying is that I need to leave my own issues first, before I can let someone else in, he said. She sat down next to him. Yeah, I got you, she said. You're not upset, he asked. I might be, but maybe you're right, she said. I mean, I haven't dealt with my own problem yet. I've been through a lot of messed up crap, and they're still in my head from the hidden sound. You were not a distraction. After all, when most people is going through things, they just want a distraction. But you're not that to me. But I guess, it's like, as Naruto finished for her, you were trying to avoid something you really didn't want to do. I get that, it's fine. As you remember Zabuza's words, in this world, people are either tools or weapons, and that boy is my tool, and I will use him until he's broken. He was a tool that Tayuya needed to use to heal herself, and by Zabuza's definition, he would either be used, or he would use her in turn, and he wasn't sure if he was comfortable with that line of thinking. But as the clouds passed by overhead, he just smiled as the sun started to shine down on them. Yeah, there was a lot of crap that he had to deal with first, before moving on to other things. But guys, to be in episode right here, if you want the next part of this, do like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notifications they posted. Remember, share to all of your friends in your social media platform. And also guys, remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Anime King family. I'll be leaving the link down below for Anime King and Anime King 3 for you guys to enjoy. And also stay tuned guys for a brand new episode of What If Naruto Became the God of Lightning over on Anime King, which I do hope that you guys enjoy. And stay tuned for a new episode over Anime King 3 as well guys, which I really hope that you guys enjoy. So yeah, for now I'm out. See you guys over on Anime King. Peace.
Remember the moment.